Good evening and hello once again. I call to order this regular meeting of the Carrabelle City Commission. It's Thursday, April the 1st, 2021, 6 p.m. And this meeting is being conducted in the Carrabelle City Hall chambers. We'll open with a prayer by Commissioner Allen, and then we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand.
Our God and Father in heaven, we're so grateful that we can come together as a community and discuss those things that would be of value to everyone, and that we might continue to walk in the paths that you set before us. We ask you especially, Father, to be with those that are being affected by this disease. Let those that are responsible for finding the cure and administering it, give them all the wisdom from based on all their knowledge. Be with us tonight, that as we deal with these things that come before us, that we'll be open and just and honest about our decisions and do that which would be best for our entire community. We ask this in the name of your Son. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, please note that masks are required at all times except when speaking into the microphone. And please be considerate of others and adhere to the social distancing guidelines. And for those of you watching this streaming live stream, it's being broadcast to Forgotten Coast TV YouTube, and you'll see on the City of Carrabelle's Facebook page a link to the Forgotten Coast TV YouTube. Just click on that link, and that will take you to that to our live stream. But then you'll have to come back to the Carrabelle Facebook page to make comments, and staff is watching for comments. If you can't hear, be sure to let us know. During this meeting here in the chambers, if anyone wishes to speak during our comment times, just please raise your hand. I will recognize you to come to the podium. I'll ask the commissioners to please help me look for people with their hands raised. Please do not yell out from the audience. That won't be tolerated. Thank you. And also, we've got, and thank you to staff for ordering and installing new plexiglass dividers here. So for once, for a change, you can see all of your commissioners sitting together at the dais like we should be, and then we have our staff members at the dais as well. So I'm glad for us to be back together. I don't know how everyone else feels, but it's like old times, except now we can't spit on each other. So, okay. Okay. All right, then. We have moved public comment to the end of the meeting right before adjournment, so we'll move right on to the commissioners' reports. Do we have a report by Commissioner Brown?
Yes. Next month for the commission meeting on May 6th, I will be... Oh, my masks.
Are we going to skip the consent agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, consent agenda. Oh, I don't have the consent agenda on my paperwork. But yes, we will have the consent agenda. I'm sorry, I must have moved that with the public comment. But the consent agenda, excuse me. And we do need to do that, the March 4th regular meeting minutes and the attorney's invoices.
Motion to approve.
Okay, we have that motion by Commissioner Melander. Do we have a second by Commissioner Mathis? Is there any comment? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, now we'll move on to Commissioner Brown. Sorry.
At next month's May 6th meeting, I will not be here because I'm registered for the elected officials class in Tampa.
Okay. All right, well, we'll try to keep any important stuff till the June meeting.
Save the good stuff.
Yes, we will. Commissioner Allen?
Just one thing, Tamara and I took a drive through the cemetery this afternoon, and it looks like a lot of stuff has been blown over here, maybe from other counties east of us. But I think we need to look at possibly having a big cleanup day out there like we have here in town occasionally. So just put that in your hopper, and let's think about it, and if you can come up with a good idea about that or when, we'll be glad to consider it.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. And Commissioner Mathis?
I have none.
Okay. Commissioner Millender?
I have none.
Okay. I have a little bit of something here. I just wanted to let you all know that staff is about 95% complete on their response letter to JLAC, and that's looking good. And they'll circulate that to you when it's completed. On March the 24th, the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee, State Legislative Senate, on the Subcommittee on Criminal and Civil Justice released a fiscal year 2021-2022 subcommittee budget proposal that included a proposed $140 million budget cut to the State Department of Corrections system, with the recommendation in that bill that 4 prisons be closed. And this resulted certainly in a lot of concern statewide, and especially in the rural areas where the correctional facilities provide a major portion of the local jobs and inmate crews to local agencies. So I reached out to Warden Connor of the Franklin facility, who met with Courtney and I on Monday, and he believes that the Franklin operations will remain stable, but he reiterated the statewide DOC staffing shortage that we're all aware of. And for those who want to follow up, Warden Connor will be addressing the Franklin County Board of County Commissioners on this topic on their April the 6th meeting. And he'll probably have some more information that he'll be sharing at that time. And but also remind you that these are budget proposals, and they'll ultimately be negotiated prior to their final adoption by the legislature. And then this week, I was wondering how the taxes, the ad valorem property taxes that are collected in the city limits, how much are collected exactly, and how are those dispersed? So I reached out to our Franklin County tax collector, Rick Watson, for a report on ad valorem tax collections, and that's what y'all see here that you thought was your math class. And this is for the year of 2019, because they're still collecting taxes for 2020. And the total combined amount of ad valorem tax collected from property owners within the city of Carrabelle by the 4 taxing authorities for tax year 2019 was, it's that bottom number that's highlighted, was $2,264,902.81. And then this amount is broken down by the 4 individual taxing authorities, as you see there in that column. The city of Carrabelle collected the highest amount at $960,482.59. The school board collected the second highest amount, which you see there's 2 different, it's broken down in 2 different amounts there for them, but the total was $665,974. And then Franklin County ran a close third at their collections at $634,923. And then Northwest Florida Water Management District collected only $3,523.76 from the property owners within the city limits of Carrabelle. Mr. Rick Watson reported their offices normally collect about around 96% of the taxes billed each year, and approximately 3.2% of delinquent taxes are paid by investors when certificates are purchased, and the remaining 0.8% are struck to the county, as he wrote. The Franklin County Tax Collector's Office does not collect an administrative service fee from the school board or the 2 cities. That would be like a fee for collecting taxes for us. The Tax Collector's Office is called a budget office, and the county commission funds the operational cost for the Tax Collector's Office. And all funds collected by the Tax Collector's Office for the county taxes and any fees generated from licensing, like the tax collector, you go there to their offices to buy your tags and titles, driver's license, hunting license, fishing license, concealed weapons. Any of those fees that they collect there at that office, those are sent to the county as revenues for the county. So that was just a little short report of interest, and maybe I'll try to do that next year as well if I can remember. But that's it. I want to wish everyone a very happy Easter and keep warm, okay? And we'll move on to staff reports to the city attorney.
I have none.
Okay, and then, thank you. Does anyone have questions or comments for the attorney? Okay, then we'll move on to the city administrator.
We would like to schedule a commission workshop for April the 6th, and that would be review for the CARES Act money and the American Rescue Plan funding. We've already received the CARES Act money, and there is money allocated for the city in the American Rescue Plan, so we need to decide what we're going to do with this money and what we want to apply for in the American Rescue Plan funding. We're still real early in the game with the American Rescue Plan funding, so we're not really sure how that's all going to work. So that's some of the discussion that we need to have. So if everybody agrees to have a meeting at 1:30 p.m. on April the 6th for a workshop.
If they do, can we have a motion for that? Would someone like to motion for a workshop?
I'll motion for the workshop.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, that's a motion by Commissioner Brown, second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any further discussion? I believe someone from the ARPC is coming. I think Carolyn Smith, maybe she may be bringing someone else as
Okay,
well.
you're good.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay.
We've had a street and road employee put in his resignation. It's effective next week. We've went ahead and put that out for in-house, advertised it in-house for anyone interested who's already employed with the city. That was up today, and I did not receive any applications for in-house, so we're going to go ahead and advertise that in the newspaper.
All right. Is that all right with everyone?
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Will you do that for 2 weeks or?
Yes, we'll run that for 2 weeks.
What is the
It'll run the 8th and the 15th, and then the deadline will be the 22nd, and then that'll give them that last week of April to interview, and then on the 6th, you'll be able to hire.
okay. All right.
That position starts out at 11:50.
Okay, 11:50. And then what is the last date of the person who resigned? But anyway.
I did not bring
So
it with me. He put in a 2-week notice, and it was the
Okay.
last Tuesday or Wednesday, so he's got about another week. He's been about a week.
And hire on May the 6th. And
So that'll put us 3 weeks without an employee.
okay, that's what I was trying to get at. Thank you. And then the entry level, I'll say again for public record or for the people watching, is $11.50 an hour. Okay. All right.
And they will need to be
DOC certified, but they
can
be
take it.
qualified to be DOC certified. Okay.
Ms. Tamara and I have been working on the derelict vessel removal grant application, and so far what FWC has brought me is a letter for the vessel at Sunset Isle, and I have a letter for the Anthony Diane, and they are still trying to get the spare time. But we're running out of time, and we're worried that the money's going to be depleted. So what I'm looking for is a motion to go ahead and proceed with the 2 vessels that we do have the letters for. And that would be the Anthony Diane and the vessel that's at Sunset Isle.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Mathis to proceed with the FWC derelict vessel removal grant application for the 2 vessels that we have letters for.
And I have been in touch with the lady that has the spare time, and she now understands why we need the letter, so that may move along forward, but we'll go ahead and get started with the 2 that we have, and maybe we can include that one in when we get it, but we'll go ahead and start with the 2.
Okay, and so then is there any further discussion? All,
I'm sorry, go ahead, ma'am.
okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Is
I
there
have
anything?
nothing else.
Does anyone have a comment or a question for Ms. Courtney?
No, I was just gonna comment, we don't wanna lose that opportunity, we wanna get what we can get.
That's
It's very
right.
competitive. They've sent emails that says, oh, we had some money that come available that was left over, and it's literally gone within minutes.
Yes.
They come back within 30 minutes and say that money's already been spent.
It's almost like you have to be sitting ready, with your application ready. You have to be, so. Okay, all right. And then, so nothing else for Ms. Courtney. We'll move to Ms. Keisha, our city clerk.
All right, City Hall will be closed tomorrow, for Good Friday. We have April the 6th, as you just motioned, for the, workshop, for the CARES Act funding at 1:30 PM on, April the 6th. I don't have anything as of now for P and Z, but it's not deadline time yet. So they're possible April 15th at 2 o'clock if we do have one. And we have a CRA meeting April 20th at 1:30.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Keisha? Okay. Do you all have any questions or comments for Ms. Keisha? All right, then we'll move to Enovia's report. Mr. Russell Large.
All right, thank you. Our FDOT Scott project, construction continues there. It's looking good. We've had some coordination with them on some sod quantities, but that project's coming together. We did make a new application for FDOT scope money for the Baywood Drive improvements. That application was submitted. On our lighthouse project, we're close to being ready to advertise. It is forthcoming. I did go ahead and prepare flyers, and those are going to be mailed out, explaining that construction is coming soon, and it gives those who haven't signed up the opportunity to sign up now. On our Marine Street project, the site visit by DEO is pending, and I'm told by the grant administrators that they do anticipate that project will be awarded.
Good.
Yeah. And then lastly, on Ryan Drive, if we're ready for that item,
Yes,
Mayor?
sir.
Okay. Mayor asked me to take a look at the Roberts and Roberts quote that was provided for the Ryan Drive culvert replacement. And just I'll give you a little description here of what you may see. There's two options here. One is a full replacement of the cross drain. It's a double 24-inch. And then the second option is to line the pipe. So I'll talk about the pipelining first. And what that is, they call it a CIPP. That's a cast-in-place pipe. It's basically a woven type material that they saturate with a resin and then blow it into the pipe. You kind of think of it like turning your sock inside out, blows into the pipe, and then they let it harden. That is an appropriate way to extend the life of a culvert. DOT uses it with some frequency, so that is an option. Secondly is the full pipe replacement. That's much more involved, as you can see by the price. We did analyze, and I should say, we did ask for a set of plans for this, and a set of plans was not produced for this. So this price was just developed based on Roberts and Roberts' experience. Mm-hmm. So we took a look at the pay items and quantities they developed here, and 3 stood out as not quite what the way we would have envisioned it: the roadway removal, the lime rock base, and the asphalt. Those quantities didn't seem to line up together. So we analyzed those how we would design the project, and develop the cost differential there, and it was about $150 difference. So I think this is in line. I think this is a decent number to consider in terms of a budget. I would say, though, that in any agreement you may enter with the county to share cost here, that before any payment is made, for sure, that I think the city would want to review the plans and the bid and the construction contract. I'm assuming that a set of plans will ultimately be required for this work. I would expect it to be. And the city should be able to review that and the cost associated with it. Mayor, did I answer your
Yes.
question?
Now,
Okay.
did they get a copy? I don't think they didn't get a copy.
Exactly, I was about to ask.
Is it on email?
I have it on my email. I did not send it out. This is a quote from accounting that the mayor sent to me that she got
Okay.
from county commissioner.
I can pass it down
go make
and let folks look at it. Because, and so we'll just go at it that way, and then their terms and conditions are on the back. All right, so what was suggested, and Commissioner Ward, this is in her district, and she is doing the groundwork on this, and she really would like to see it repaired for her constituents, as we all would like to see it repaired. It was suggested to her by their Dewberry is their consultants, to leave the engineer out of the project, and it would make the project be at these prices that you see. So if the engineer has been left out of the project, will plans be produced? Will Roberts and Roberts produce plans? I'm asking this to Mr. Large.
Roberts and Roberts, to my knowledge, they may have an engineer on staff. I don't know. But it's a little, I don't know. As your consultant, I would tell you that a project like this, I would want to see a set of plans developed. I just think that's important. I think an engineer should sign and seal a set of plans that a contractor will build.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's a public safety issue.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, an engineer should sign and seal that work. That's my opinion.
Okay.
I have to,
Okay,
Russell, and I'm asking for your opinion.
if you'll take your mask.
Remove your mask, Tony, so if I can hear you.
That sock type repair that you described, Frank, and you guys that's been here longer than I have, I've just been a citizen, I know that culvert's been repaired numerous times. And it doesn't seem like a repair holds up. But in your professional opinion, is that gonna be a Band-Aid? Or would that just be a Band-Aid?
It's difficult. That's a difficult question for me to answer. There's normally what you would like to do is a good inspection on that culvert, where you put a video, a camera through the culvert and inspect the joints closely to view any leaking that's occurring. So, you know, if there's severe damage, then it would be a Band-Aid. And I don't know, we know that we truly know the extent of the damage without putting a camera down those pipes.
Well, that's my thought from my position, is I've saw it repaired in my lifetime numerous times, and it just seems to be a temporary repair. because
Do
it
we know
comes
when it
right
was?
back.
Is it gonna help too that we're enforcing the trucks? No
Oh,
trucks?
yes, that will help.
Yeah.
But I have spoke with Commissioner Ward on this, and bear in mind, we haven't agreed to share cost here,
Correct.
okay? And I'll just go ahead and tell you that she and I both agree wholeheartedly that if the repair was to be done, if we agreed to split, that she and I would like to see the full repair done, you know, the full job. Do it.
Replacement.
Yes, sir. Do the job right so that it will last. And it's only a $22,000 $22,682 difference between these two, between the option of the sock, blow that into the pipe. It's $22,000 difference. If we shared the cost, it would be an $11,341. So you're really getting a better buy, if you look at it like that, for the $90,065.
That's,
And you're getting, your sidewalk's gonna be replaced, your curb, you're gonna get concrete flumes, head walls, double head walls, that kind of thing, where you're not gonna get that on your,
well, that's the direction I'm going, because it seems like the repairs that have been done in the past, you come back and spend double the money because where you resurface the top layer and redo everything up top, it goes out again too. So it's just additional money. So anyway, that's the direction I was going.
that's what I would recommend as well to all of the commissioners. But we still don't have plans as Mr. Large has recommended. I don't know how I'm just trying to figure this out. Could Mr. Large do the plans for us and work with Roberts and Roberts on it? I don't know. I don't know how this would work out. Roberts is in the county working, in Franklin County, working for Franklin County right now. So I believe that reduced their mobilization cost, excuse me.
And was that a thought of the commissioners, the county commissioners, about not including an engineered set of plans?
That is talks between the best I'm aware of, between Commissioner Ward and their
engineer.
Clay is his name, their engineer. This is on Commissioner Ward's own money, her own log money for her district.
For her district, yeah.
I reminded her yesterday that I couldn't make the decision, that I have to come to the commission, but she's made the decision to use her log money on this. I don't believe she's gonna have to get commission approval. But now, don't hold me to that, but she's made the decision. She wants to repair it. It's been that way for a long time in her district for her constituents that she has now, and she's just trying to work out a way to get it repaired. And we know we want to have it repaired as well. We know, although we would have to have, both of her understand, we would have to have a good signed interlocal agreement where neither party at this point is accepting ownership or jurisdiction of that roadway, because it's still county versus city, city versus county on that, unfortunately.
And a couple questions that we don't have answered, or I see that we don't have answered, is one, we don't know that Roberts and Robert has an engineer. And Russell, I'll go ahead and ask the question to you about what would it cost us if we had you engineer a set of plans. You know I'm gonna ask that.
Right. I didn't want you to get the impression that I was trying to create work for me when I said that. But I would say, we would need to get a survey. I'm adding this up in my head here. Just shooting from the hip. I think this is something that could be done in the neighborhood of $7,500 or less, some total.
Well,
And I'll go out on a limb here, and I'll even offer to do it at no cost except for the survey. If the city could help us get the survey cost paid for, I'll do the plans. I'll do the plans at no cost.
bring a tear
If
to
that
my eye.
if that would help get this going.
It definitely would where I sit. And
And
that
I'm-
is a
I'm glad-
fantastic
I'm glad-
offer, I'll have to say that.
I'm glad to
I
do
know
that.
it, thank you. So we see then that the survey I don't know. Maybe Keisha or Courtney could kind of give us a ballpark.
I'm guessing it would be $1,200-$1,500.
I was gonna say two.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking, somewhere around that. So you see, it would cost us about 45,000 plus the survey, 1,500 to 2,000, 40, 47, 48,000, somewhere in there.
I'm gonna
And-
make a motion that we proceed with the process
Okay.
and go ahead and continue your talks and negotiation with the county and for the full replacement.
I'll second that motion.
And we pay the fee for the survey.
Because I feel that thing could fall in and cost somebody their life.
Well, as long as I can remember, it's been a problem because it's
It
been
has.
patched.
Okay.
And Russell, from my point of view, thank you very much. That's a tremendous offer you've made.
Well, thank you, and Carrabelle means a lot to our firm, so we're happy to do that.
Okay. All right, then. We have a motion by Commissioner Millender to proceed with the process and to continue negotiations with the county, and Commissioner Ward for full replacement, as noted here on the top quote. And then the city of Carrabelle will pay for the survey. And that motion is by Commissioner Millender and second by Commissioner Mathis. Okay, and I do want to thank Mr. Large. I think you helped to get, I know that you helped to convince us to move forward with this project. And I do want to thank Commissioner Ward for reaching out and working with us on this. It's been a long time needed. So I'll get together with her tomorrow as soon as I can, get in touch with her, and we'll start moving forward. And so, is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And please note that was unanimous. Thank you. And then I have one other item for Mr. Large. During our Water and Sewer Department meeting this week, we were discussing that these lighthouse estates, septic to sewer and water extension, they're going to bid here shortly, or should be.
Yes.
Shortly. Then we talked about some repairs at McKissick Beach, and when they dug up, where they were doing some repairs on some infrastructure sewer, things weren't put together right in the beginning during installation. And our superintendent he's requesting more oversight on this project at the Lighthouse Estates for septic to sewer and for the water installation. I mean, and we really talked about it in depth, as if we really need to have some daily on-site inspection, or to, just follow the process of the installation of this infrastructure. He told me who, would be the best person, and this is, one of our top operators. And we, would the grant allow funding for this? We would either have to hire an inspector, or we would put, our one of our top employees out there, and then we would need, a replacement employee, so
Okay.
don't know how.
There is money in the grant set aside for on-site inspection. And so the person you had in mind is city staff?
Well, that's what Mr. Charlie recommended.
Okay.
He recommended.
Okay.
But
I'm sure there's a way for the grant to fund that, even if it's a city employee. So I'll find out how that can be done.
is that how often on-site inspection?
We had anticipated about every other day, but or about 4 hours a day.
That might be sufficient, as long as they don't cover it up before we get to
Right.
look at it.
Right. Right. I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
Do y'all, is that, I want y'all to understand, y'all understand what's
I
going
do,
on here?
yes.
Okay, we want to make sure it's done right
And
in the first place.
The employee does have a lot of background in that field.
Yes.
Yep.
Mhm.
We can keep him out of the hole.
Okay, all right, well, thank you,
Okay.
and we'll let Charlie know.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
He was a hockeyologist.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so anything else for Mr. Large?
Yes, ma'am, I have one question.
Okay.
Russell, on summer camp in St. Joe, are we at idle?
We are.
Okay. Good enough.
I think I know why. Someone seems to be negotiating to purchase that. And so I think that's kind of stopped summer camp. But they did pay in full for the analysis, the feasibility study that was done.
Good.
So, and I did speak with that someone who called me to tell me that they were doing that. So we'll probably hear from them again.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, if there's nothing else, we've received our advisory board reports in written format, and I hope you all had a chance to take a look. Do you have any comments regarding that at this time? I will note that they mention here that there's a budget shortfall in the airport budget due to having to pay back sales tax on hangar rent for 3 years, and then insurance rate increases almost double, and then they had a reduction in fuel sales. So Mr. Tim is going to be coming to our workshop, Tim Sullivan, on Wednesday to discuss with maybe a little bit of extra funding for the airport for this year for their shortfall that they have, and we can take a review of their budget as well. And then I just wanted to ask Ms. Tamra if she understood that we had our McKissick Beach Land Management Plan workshops last year.
And I actually remembered that. I just was responding to the recommendations from the committee.
Okay, all right. All right. Then we'll move forward. Let me see where we are here, my papers, to the public hearing. Mr. Hartman, our resolution.
All right. This is Resolution 03-2021, a resolution of the City of Carrabelle urging all members of the Florida Legislature to oppose unwarranted or overly broad preemptions of municipal home rule powers, directing a copy of this resolution to be transmitted to members of the Florida Legislature, the Florida League of Cities, and any other interested parties. And it's whereas the municipalities are voluntarily created and chartered by their citizens as an embodiment of the local self-determination, and whereas in 1968, Florida voters amended the state constitution to confer broad home rule powers to municipal government under Article 8, Section 2B, and whereas numerous bills being considered by the Florida Legislature contradict the will of the people of Florida who expressed an unequivocal desire for broad home rule powers in their state constitutions, and whereas these bills undercut the intent of the citizens of every municipality in Florida who voted to incorporate their community and exercise the broad home rule powers granted by the Florida Constitution to govern themselves and thereby effectively address the unique concerns of their communities, and whereas these bills would impair the municipal charter and ordinance provisions specifically adopted and approved by the local communities to define their preferred form of self-government and safeguard issues of perennial importance to their communities, and whereas the municipality's ability to timely act on local problems and opportunities will be limited by these bills to a state legislature that holds session only once a year, and whose ability to address local problems will be contingent on the relative effectiveness of its representative in the state legislature. And whereas under these bills, state legislators will find themselves spending increasing amounts of time arbitrating over local problems and legislating on local issues and less time attending to pressing statewide needs. And whereas the Carrabelle City Commission believes opposing these bills is in the best interest of the residents and businesses of the municipalities in the state of Florida and ultimately the state itself. And whereas the Carrabelle City Commission would respectfully ask the state legislature to be mindful that regulations enacted by local governments have to be enforced by those same governments, and if excessive or burdensome, the people's local elected representatives are quickly made aware of those burdens and any unintended consequences. And whereas should these bills become law and not be overturned, the ability of Florida's municipalities to narrowly address local issues of public concern would be destroyed. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Carrabelle City Commission opposes the state of Florida's overbroad attempt to repeal or restrict constitutional home rule powers to protect the health, safety, and welfare of citizens, and urges all members of the Florida legislature to oppose the adoption of unwarranted or overly broad preemptions. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be transmitted to the members of the Florida legislature, Florida League of Cities, and any other interested parties. This resolution shall become effective immediately upon passage.
Okay, and this is a resolution that was suggested by the Florida League of Cities to stress to the state legislature that the cities want to maintain their home rule authority as much as possible. And I think we should go ahead and adopt this resolution. We can send it to the Florida League of Cities, and their lobbyists will make sure that the proper authorities on the state side have the resolutions that are coming in from the cities.
So can we go ahead and do it?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to do it.
Okay.
I second.
All right, and that motion is by Commissioner Allen, second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to old business. Item 1, discussion and possible action regarding required 3-year notification to garbage haulers inside the city limits of Carrabelle of possible future action to contract with an exclusive hauler. And then I'll just turn this over to Mr. Hartman. This is a result of discussions that we had at a February 18th, 2021 workshop on mandatory garbage, which followed several other meetings that we had regarding mandatory garbage.
Okay. So what we had discussed is really twofold. One, that basically whether or not to basically say that we would have mandatory garbage in the city. Then second, if we did, the recommendation is because of the statute and because of basically a statute that protects existing waste haulers, it was to, if we go to mandatory garbage pickup, that we would allow residents to select their own existing waste hauler, and they would all be working under non-exclusive franchises. And I'm going to call it the third option, is using a single or sole, basically exclusive entity to do the waste hauling. And the benefits to that were typically lower cost because of the economy of scale that they would be dealing with. But there was the pesky problem of a statute that requires notice to be given to existing waste haulers in a geographic area with the city, and an opportunity for them, this is my language, but to basically wind down their operations in anticipation of one waste hauler getting all the business, right? Because they have investments in the area and customers and that sort of thing. So that's, I believe, the policy behind it. But in order to have the option as a city to go to a exclusive franchise, we would have to put all the existing haulers on notice through a letter format that's kind of dictated by statute, and then essentially, I know it says on here 3 years, but the basically 3-year notification, so that we would have the option, not that we'd be required to, but that we'd have the option 3 years from now to go to an exclusive, have the option of going to an exclusive waste hauler scenario. So it was my opinion and recommendation that it hurts nothing. Under scenarios 1 and 2, as far as we may not go to mandatory, or if we go to mandatory, it will be non-exclusive for starters, but sending the letter is, to me, just a way to expand our options, even though obviously it'll be 3 years from now, but we'll wish we did it 3 years from now if we don't do it now.
I have a question.
Mhm.
I was just wondering, what if somebody starts up a hauling business 2 years into the 3 years?
That's a good question, and I'll look at that. I believe that we will do this in a public fashion, even if it's posted on the website or something else. So anybody that starts up after this notice is on notice that they're on a limited timeline. But I'll look into that. That's a good question.
Could even post a notice on our website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just thought if we went to it, you might see a lot more businesses opening up if it was non-exclusive.
And it's not exclusive now.
Right.
Yep.
And so, just to reiterate, the notification does not obligate the city to proceed, but it would leave the city leaders in the future, 3 years or 4 or 5, whatever, in a position to proceed with mandatory garbage if they choose to. That's correct?
That's correct. And actually, the
With an
letter.
exclusive.
With an
Oh,
exclusive.
I'm sorry. I'm working off of a sample letter from the city of Callaway that went through this process, and it does address that scenario, which I believe this addresses it. It's basically that we, as a city, would hold this, what's called an advisability hearing. And for instance, here, this is the language from the letter. The city intends to provide both direct written notice of the advisability hearing to all private companies and as well as public notice. So I think there is a process under which we would provide public notice both of this letter and the later hearing. And the advisability hearing is simply a hearing where we lay out how we're going to proceed on collection services in the city. But they're literally saying they say in here, however, it currently anticipates that advisability hearing will be held in the spring of 2023. And their letter is dated July 2020. So they're getting 3 years ahead of the ball, which is
Okay.
unusual. But
All right, I've got something of interest here before we call for a motion. This is a newspaper from 1992. Believe me, I didn't keep it this long. Someone else did and gave it to me. But right here, it talks about, right here, taking no action, Carrabelle City Commission hears arguments for increasing garbage collection rates and making collections mandatory. And so they've been, we know now, working on it since '92. This is Hank Osborne, owner of Coastal Sanitation, and then there was someone else named Mathis in there. And Mr. Frank thinks that's someone that was a hauler as well at the time. And so it's all of this page and all of this in the back. So it's interesting, and it's interesting to look at the pictures. So that's my show and tell.
That's cool.
For garbage. So what do you all think? You think you'd just like to go ahead and do a little, a public notice, and 3 years, 4 years out, we can, whoever's on board here can address it again?
Well, Mayor, I'll make the motion because I don't think it's gonna, what we're gonna do here and what I'm gonna make a motion to do is not gonna obligate us to anything at this time. It's gonna open the door for options in the future. And where, like you said, whoever's on the board at that time will help them make some decisions. So I'm gonna make a motion that we proceed with the process as described by the attorney.
I'll second.
Okay, we got Commissioner Brown. They're fighting over the second in here. So we got, yeah, okay. We have Commissioner Melander to proceed with the process as described by the attorney. And Commissioner Brown has seconded that. Is there any further discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartman.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we move forward to item under new business, item 1, which is a quasi-judicial hearing. And this board is now convening as a quasi-judicial board for the hearing. And the item is discussion and possible action concerning special exception at 806 Southeast Avenue D to allow a mobile home in R1 zoning, and this is requested by Justin and Keisha Messer. And then we see there that the Planning and Zoning's recommendation was unanimous vote to approve this item. And then the action that's needed by the City Commission is to approve with conditions, table or deny. And Mr. Hartman, do you have anything to say on this at this point?
I do not.
Okay.
Well, and I guess as far as staff, I mean, Courtney can talk to it, that the letters were sent out, nothing came back.
Yes, all the letters were sent out to the adjacent property owners within 250 feet. We did not get any comment back from anyone.
Okay. We have a motion already by Commissioner Mathis to approve. Did you hear that, Ms. Keisha? Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And that second was by Commissioner Allen. Now, is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And the motion carries. And so this quasi-judicial hearing is now adjourned, and we will reconvene our regular commission meeting. For item 2, discussion and possible action regarding high water bill requested by Earl Duke. Is Mr. Earl Duke with us? Okay. Good evening, sir. If you'll just state your name for the record.
Earl Dukes.
Okay. Earl Dukes?
Dukes, D-U-K-E-S.
Okay.
Well, I received a $509.68 water bill. My water bill is normally below $100 each month. And the reason I got this bill, there was a water leak, and I noticed the water in my neighbor's yard, and it was coming out quite a bit. So I called the city, and they responded very well, very professional. And the water leak was at the meter itself, and they worked probably 3 hours digging up the meter box and so forth. Unfortunately, where it broke was on my side of the meter. So that's the reason I got the high water bill. It's a tough pill to swallow because I didn't use the water in the house. It all went out in the ocean. So I called everyone, and I guess you're my last resort.
Yes. That's what we understand, and thank you for coming, and we all understand, because I believe all of us here have paid water bills like this.
I paid the bill under protest, but I paid it, so.
Okay. But now I see you got, your bill was $509.68.
That's correct.
And then they reduced they gave you a sewer usage credit because it didn't go into the sewer.
Correct.
Like you said, it went to the ocean.
The sewage bill was $143 for that month, and they gave me a credit of $95.37.
But I guess they were allowing that you did use some sewer that
Correct.
month. So then your bill was $414.31.
Which was paid.
I beg your pardon?
Which was paid.
Okay. And that's, I understand that's a hard pill to swallow. I think I understand too that as a courtesy, the water and sewer, or the water staff, repaired the break even though it was on your side of the meter.
They did, but unfortunately they didn't know it was on my side because they had to lift the whole meter box up, and they actually repaired both sides of the meter.
But they know they're not supposed to do that, but they did that as
Well,
a courtesy.
They
So,
did a great
yeah.
job.
And that's good. I think the superintendent got after him a little bit though, but they're not supposed to. So I don't know what to say because it's difficult for us, because I don't know about Miss Brown, but I know that all the rest of us here have paid. I've paid 2 big water bills like this. When you have a break and it's on your property, then you're responsible for it.
I had one my first month in town, so.
You had one, okay. It's something.
So is there no monitor in place whenever this happens, at the city that would trigger someone to take action?
Say, is there what now? No monitor?
Correct. If you have a leak like this,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where I use 3,000 gallons of water a month, and then in 2 weeks I use 32,000, isn't there bells and whistles going off at some monitor station? You don't have that type of equipment?
I'll let Courtney know.
We do, we have a leak report, but it's only once a month, so he probably called it before we got our leak report in. And it does alert us to say there's high usage and there's a leak. It only triggers if it's ran for 24 hours without stopping. If it stops one time in that 24, it resets. So we do have that in place, but the reports only run once a month.
And when someone ties into the meter, do you have an inspection crew to go out and make sure it was?
Yes, but unfortunately, most of these have been in the ground for 50-plus years.
It just depends, you know, if you have a new built home, the inspector, you know, inspects it. But if it's an older home, then it hasn't been inspected for years unless you hire it inspected as part of your home purchase or something.
Okay.
You know, we have talked about something that could go on all of the meters, each meter that would have a radio read or send out a signal, but those are very expensive, extremely expensive, and we just don't have the funding for that, and then they're not reliable. They break a lot. So, but we have discussed that.
I guess I wouldn't have a problem with it if it had not been at the meter. If it had been further down, I would not have a problem with it. I wouldn't even be here today, but right at the meter itself.
Do we have a recommendation or?
The only comment I'll
Okay.
have is, from my perspective, since I've been on the board, there's been a protocol, and there is a standard that if it's on the customer side of the meter, it's their responsibility. I know when I hooked into the city's meter at my home, when I myself hooked into the meter on my side, that's my responsibility. And since I've been on the board, it's been customary that we do just exactly what staff has already done. They give you credit for the sewer part of it that did not actually go through the sewer disposal plant. And, but the water bill is still the responsibility of the customer. I share your pain, if you will, on a large bill. As the mayor said, I've experienced one myself from a leak. So, but what we're sharing with you is standard and customary to what we do with all customers, to my knowledge.
I've been on board here 9 years, and it's been the same for 9 years since I've been on board. I started out as a commissioner, and the staff has always reduced the sewer fee because the water did not go through the sewer system, but the customers have to ultimately, they end up paying for the water that was used on their side of the meter.
Do we have any way of allowing extended payments?
Yes, we have a payment plan. We certainly do
payment
have a
plan to
payment
take that.
plan.
I paid it up front.
Okay, okay,
I have one other thing that I didn't put this on the agenda,
okay.
but since I'm here, I would like to tell you I have one thing that bugs me about the city and about the county, and that is all the junk that is in the people's yard. I have many visitors that comes to see me, and that's their biggest complaint, so
Okay,
just for the record.
all right, that's fine, very good.
Okay,
And I'm sorry we had to meet under these circumstances.
no problem.
Okay, all right, and thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay. Thank you, Mr. Dukes. All right. Item 3, approve, disapprove hiring a full-time police officer, and we have Chief Huntings coming forward.
Good evening, Commissioners and Mayor. As y'all are aware, we've had a opening in our department for quite a while now. We've been trying to fill, and I believe we've run that ad in the paper for about a month. Hadn't it been, Keisha? Pretty much had no responses, no applications. Last,
We've been renting in Tallahassee and Panama.
yeah. A couple of weeks ago, a young lady from the sheriff's office contacted me and was interested in the job. So we went through the hiring process, done the background check, done everything that was necessary, and we hired her the first of this week in a part-time position. I'm here today to ask y'all to approve her being moved to the full-time position.
Okay. And I think she's here with you
And she
this
is, she's
evening.
sitting here
Could
in the
she
back.
stand
Her
up?
name's Amber
so
Peterson.
Miss,
Right
there
here,
she
stand
is.
up.
She moved over. Hello, Miss Amber.
She worked with the sheriff's office as a correction officer for about 6 years when she went to school to get her law enforcement certificate. She's been working the road for a little over a year now as a deputy sheriff.
And you recommend her for a full-time position?
Absolutely.
Okay. And Miss Amber Peterson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, I move that we hire.
I second.
They all want to hire.
That's great.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay. Well, who made the motion then? They all made the, okay, Commissioner Allen has made the motion to hire Miss Amber Peterson as a full-time Carrabelle police officer, and that's second by Commissioner Mathis, then we'll say. Okay, and that's Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Mathis. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries, and welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard, Amber.
Officer Peterson, Carrabelle Police Officer, welcome aboard. Okay, and then you may as well stay for item 4, and it says appoint Carrabelle Police Chief, and I think our Carrabelle Police Chief Huntings has an announcement for us.
Yes, I'm resigning from the police department, gonna retire. My last day will be May the 28th. Been working along with Lieutenant Brandon, trying to train him to take over my position as a police chief, and I'll continue to do that up till the 28th.
I can say I'm sad to hear this. Of course, I knew about it, a couple of weeks earlier, but yes, we're sad to lose you. We want to make sure you're making the right decision. Are you making the right decision, Chief?
I hope I am.
Okay.
I've tried several different ways to con him in the stand.
I know it.
But he wouldn't come off any money,
Okay.
so.
I didn't have it.
Well, we think you've done a good job.
Yes.
Thank you.
We do.
Thank you, Gary,
It's,
for your service.
All right.
And so what we need to do then is we need a replacement chief is what we're going to need here.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
and you've been working with Lieutenant Brannon, and I see Lieutenant Brannon is here this evening as well. How long have you been working with Lieutenant Brannon?
For the past few weeks, for probably 4 or 5 weeks now.
And how long has Mr. Brannon, Lieutenant Brannon, been with us here at the city?
How long?
Almost 3 years, okay. And
I've got one question. Are you still gonna have your truck to haul people out of the swamp when they get stuck?
Yeah, I'll still have that. If you get stuck in the woods again, I'll come get you.
Okay, thank you. We're okay then. I've been forbidden to get stuck, so.
I'm not sure yet.
But
We're still deciding. Well, Commissioner Mathis wanted to know, are we supposed to be hiring now? And I said, I'm not sure yet at this point. I think we're still deciding.
I've got just a question.
Okay.
I've had some discussion with Lieutenant Brandon and the chief and the city administrator. I know on the officer's position, we fulfilled our commitments and our lawful obligations on advertising, and I'm not sure that we have on the chief's position yet.
The personnel policy states that announcements of position vacancies shall be made as they occur. Employees who have attained regular status and desire advancement to higher level positions are encouraged to prepare a request for consideration to the city administrator stating their reasons and qualifications. All job openings must be posted at City Hall for 5 work days prior to filling the vacancy in order to allow employees the opportunity to make application for advancement. All such requests shall be reviewed by the responsible department head and the city administrator. Applicants shall be notified when selections are made. So I believe it does need to be advertised in-house for 5 days.
Now, I know we did follow this process for the water and sewer superintendent.
We, and since I've been on the board, we've encountered it in several different vacancies that we've had, and we have to go through that process for, well, that's the process that we have
And
to go
we've
through.
just done it for the street and road department, the same thing.
Correct.
Now, and we did develop, since everybody, well, not Commissioner Brown, but we have developed new job descriptions, and I haven't really had an opportunity to take a look at that job description for chief. I mean, I certainly reviewed it and approved it when it happened, but that was in 2018, I believe, when we did that. So we need to take a look at that as well. So we've got to, if we were to go that route and not the recommendation route, as has been done in the distant past, because we have kind of changed our policy, or we're going by the personnel policy we have been in the past few years. We have a timeline that we need to maintain.
That's correct.
And if the chief is going to leave on the 28th, and then if we're going to advertise in-house for how many days did you say? 5 days. And then if something weird happened, and then we had to have a public advertisement, and that would be like for 2 weeks. You said you were gonna do it for 2 weeks for the streets and roads person?
We've got until, the chief is
Till
not leaving
28th.
until May the 28th,
Okay.
not April the 28th.
So, all right.
So we
But
have time.
we still
Yeah.
wanna
Yeah.
try to make a decision here and not put it off another
That's
month
correct.
or something like that. But we have good time right now, because whatever happens, we wanna make sure that the chief still has opportunity to either continue his training or do whatever needs to be done to, make a person familiar, the new chief familiar with the, proceedings that happen, that are particular to our Carrabelle Police Department.
Right, and it's a lot to take in. And like I said, been working with him for several weeks, and, you know, you bring somebody in, they only got a couple of weeks to train, or a few weeks, I don't know if that'll be possible.
Are you dead set on May the 28th? Could you extend a month if you had to?
If I had to, for y'all, I would.
Oh, well,
Well,
thank you.
I'd already given him a date, but he wouldn't take it.
No, not that day.
Well, Mr. Large is going to donate the plans.
Yeah, and I may stay an extra month. if that helps.
Okay.
Not for free.
Okay.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, look, then, how would we like to proceed, commissioners?
Should we have a special meeting like in 2 weeks and review it after the announcement?
Well, that's possible. We could advertise in-house and then have a special meeting to review those applications. And then from there, if we needed to, we could do whatever we need to do.
Let me offer this up.
Okay.
We follow through on the advertisement like we're required to do. And it's the chief of police job that we're advertising. So that means we don't have a chief to do the interviews. I see that,
He'll be here.
yeah, I guess he could. And we still want to take on his recommendation. However, maybe our city administrator and our mayor or the commissioner of that department sit in on those interviews, if any interviews other than what we have, and come back with a recommendation to the board at the first of the month.
If it's in-house, only the ones that's
That's right.
in the house
That's
can
right.
apply.
That's right.
But now I worry about waiting until the first of the month. The first of the month is, our next meeting is May the 6th.
Okay.
So,
We could hold a special meeting if you want to do
yeah,
that.
I think that would probably be better, because if
Yeah.
May the 6th, then, you know, I can't say what's gonna happen here. I can't say. So if something happened that we had to advertise in the paper for 2 weeks now, we're really cutting it short. That sounds discouraging. I don't want to sound discouraging to the police officers and lieutenant that's in here with us in this meeting. We're just trying to cover the bases right now.
Well, we have a CRA meeting on April the 20th, and we could have a special meeting before or after, since everyone's gonna be here anyway.
Okay. That seems okay.
That sounds good.
What's that date?
April the 20th?
All right, so we need a motion then to, I'm thinking, to proceed, as it says in the personnel policy, to proceed with the in-house advertisement for 5 business days for the chief of police.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Now, we have a CRA meeting on the 20th.
We have a CRA meeting on the 20th at 1:30,
Mm-hmm.
so we could do it.
Let me do this
I'm
vote
sorry.
here. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. Okay, so now we need to schedule
Was
a
that
special.
Allen on the second?
Yes, Millender and Allen. All right, and now we need to schedule a special meeting for April the 20th, so the CRA meeting is at 1:30. So do we want to go before or after? 1 o'clock? I'm sure we could take care of one item.
That sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Fine with me.
all right, let's have a motion for that.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
That's April the 20th at 1 o'clock, Ms. Keisha. Motion by Commissioner Millender, second by Commissioner Brown. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay, now, I should have discussed, but I didn't. So in between now and then, we'll get those applications, resumes, and then the chief's going to interview with Ms. Courtney, and I'll take a look at them as well, or interview, and I would think Commissioner Millender could do that as well, because he's over the police department at this time. Is that all right, Mr. Commissioner Millender?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Item 5, discussion and possible action regarding development of a social media use policy for all city employees, requested by Commissioner Brown at our last meeting when we reviewed and adopted a social media policy specific to the police department. So what we had recommended at the last meeting was to find out if the commission wants to proceed with the development of a policy, and then Ms. Brown would work with the attorney, because she had some ideas, and you've worked with this before.
I've typed up a little example one that I can send over to Dan, but like he said at the last meeting, there's tons of them online. It's easy to find. Most municipalities already have them, so it would be easy to format it for us.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just a suggestion, and I think I'm gonna be right in line with what you folks are saying. Just coincidentally, the subject came up with myself and the city administrator. The Krisner Group is still, which is a labor attorney that we're still paying, and we're finishing out a contract. They have plenty of social media policy, and they have advised the city administrator they'll send it to us. And if Commissioner Brown wants to look through that and work through it, I think that'd be a good idea.
Do they have one example, or do they have a couple? Or
Don't
you
know.
don't know? Okay.
I'm not sure. We had our supervisory training. He said that he would send over a person or social media
Okay.
policy.
Do we want to proceed with this in the first place?
Oh, yeah, with creating the policy.
Uh-huh. Do we have a motion to proceed with the development of a social media policy for all city employees?
Well, my comment is we not long ago, we approved one for the police department. Just thinking about that, to be in uniformity with the rest of the employees, we might consider a social media policy for all employees. I'll make a motion that we do that.
And I will second.
Any further discussion? Okay, so I would say then have the Krisner group send over their policy and work with Ms. Brown on that and the attorney, if that's all right with y'all. Is that okay with everyone?
Sounds good.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. All right, number 6, item 6, discussion and possible action regarding additional land for expansion of Evergreen Cemetery. So, Ms. Courtney.
So we only have about 30 plots left. Although we're not in a big rush, we do need to start planning on what we're gonna do. Just we're getting pretty low, so.
And a lot of times when people buy one, they buy 4 or 5.
Or 6.
So we could be in a rush.
Yeah.
Yes, we could be. I mean, it's something that we want to look into soon. We don't want to wait and say, oh, we got a year, but, you know, we don't need to make a decision tonight. But, you know, we can look into this. But I know Commissioner Millender's done some investigating on some property. I don't know if anyone else has, but it is something we need to consider. Where are we going to get our next piece of property for a cemetery?
There's none of the adjacent property available, is it? It's all swamp mostly.
Well, there are
No,
several
one little area,
pieces.
But
And when we say available, I mean, how much are we wanting to spend and how big of a piece of property? And do we want it adjacent or do you want it down the street? Because we've talked to several property owners. You know, Mr. Jackson has some property down at the end of this road. Is not really adjacent, but it's close by. There is the piece that the school board has where the football field is. There is the piece on the northeast corner
5th Street.
of Fifth Street that I believe that one was 20 acres
20
that
acres.
I think he's wanting about 250,000 for. So
there are a few sites already used in that little area, right?
there
Seems
is
like
a
right
little,
next to the
there's a
road.
little plot of land in,
That's a private one.
yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
private.
Oh, okay.
So the old football field is an option?
Yeah.
Well, we'd have to approach the school board. They own that, but it's there.
Courtney and Mayor, if I could, I'll share with you what I've had the opportunity to do. I've taken the liberty to do. I've checked with 3 or 4 different landowners in that area. Mr. Jackson does have some property, but it's not contiguous to the cemetery. The property that I have found that is contiguous at the intersection of Gray Avenue and 5th Street East, on the northeast corner, as she said, and as I described to her, there's a real estate sign there, and that's 20 acres. I don't know the details, but what I've been told, that's possibly can be purchased for $250,000, possibly. And I have made 2 contacts with the school board, one with a school board member and one with the superintendent. And just talking, and they are interested in talking with us about that old football field area. They still have 19 acres there.
Is that the whole,
Yep.
okay,
They have 19 acres there. They have not taken any official action. Now, the school board member that I spoke with and the superintendent talked favorable. However, the superintendent's gonna bring it up to the school board on the 29th of this month and present it to the school board. And there's 19 acres there, but from his perspective, the superintendent's perspective, and the school board member that I spoke with's perspective, They still want to maintain the property where the bus barn's at and where the Boys and Girls Club's at. And the other could be discussable. And they asked me about how much property that we would need. My response was, is we as a board had not met yet and had any discussion, but I guess 5 acres, 6 acres, whatever, you know, that we can possibly come up with. So anyway, that is a possibility. That's not a definite, that's a possibility. But that's helping us get the ball rolling and started in an area. Now, one other thing that I haven't checked into is Isle of Rest Cemetery. There's property around Isle of Rest Cemetery. It's owned by Franklin County, which is a part of Will Kendrick Park. And other than that, that's the only properties that I have came up with that's connected to our current 2 cemeteries.
I'll just say from past experience, so the property that's adjacent to Isle of Rest is a part of Kendrick Park.
That's correct.
If that was granted to them, they might not be able to, you know, sell any of it or just, you know, give it away.
There's no research been done. That's
Yeah,
a possibility.
it's a
yes.
possible. The 20 acres on the northeast corner, that's, seems like it's wet.
Part of it is, part of it's High Ridge.
And
Even-
then,
That's what I was just looking at. I didn't know if some of that was even in
Even
the
the school
wetland.
board's property, part of that's
It's wet.
part of that's usable.
but, not gonna say anything. Then, we have some, have you walked the property that, so, yeah, it's possible. The property that's north, that the city owns north of the cemetery.
Courtney and I looked at it. It's all, it goes straight down. And Frank can help with this, or Commissioner Mathis, on that north side. Frank, that used to be an old dump site, right? Off the back side of that cemetery in that swamp, that low area there? Didn't that used to be a dump site?
I don't recall it ever being one.
Okay, okay.
The dump site was in there behind,
And it's actually
Rock
not in a
Street
wet,
across
in
the
a
road.
flood zone.
Instead of turning on the Three River Road,
Yeah, go the other way.
Go the other way, that whole pond in
That's
there
right.
was a dump
That's
site.
right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can't recall this
How
that
big are
you're
those
speaking of.
pieces?
But anyway, Courtney and I did drive down there, Mayor. We didn't walk it, but you could see from the road that it goes straight down. It's real
It's,
bottom
it goes
down in there.
into a
Yeah.
But now,
gland.
now Ms. Keisha says that the property that's to the east is not in a flood zone?
No, the property north of the existing cemetery, now the property to the east and the football field is in a flood zone.
Right,
In a
but
flood
that,
zone.
the
Yeah.
city-owned property right there where your cursor is not in a flood zone.
It's not showing as a flood zone on the FEMA map.
But it's low. It goes way down.
Not
Yeah,
the
we did
front half
drive by-
anyway, the back half is.
Right. We did drive around there and look at that.
The Millanders have this piece here, there's already a piece of a cemetery that they have their family cemetery on,
That's the Grays, isn't it?
Mamie Millender.
Mamie Millender.
Yeah,
the
Mamie
Grays,
Millender,
the
Gray,
Gray
yeah.
family.
The Gray family.
And I don't think no one's approached them about any of this, but
My suspicion is that might not be, but you never know.
this is the piece that we're saying is the 20-acre piece here.
So that person probably wouldn't want to break that up.
And some of it's wet too, now there's some high
Like the
pieces
whole
and some wet.
north part's
Yeah,
probably wet.
the middle part's pretty much the only part that's
You're right.
right through the middle there. You can kind of
That's,
see the
that's,
ridge.
what that Commissioner Melander is referring to as a ridge.
Yes.
That's what I would be interested in, and that's why I said, and then we could possibly negotiate an easement through the Millender Cemetery there. But the property owner might not want to break up his property.
Well, there's another thing to consider there, is that's heavily wooded.
Uh-huh.
It would cost us quite a bit for land clearing.
Mm-hmm.
That football field would take a lot less effort to clear.
Mm-hmm. But the school board would know that as well.
Well, absolutely, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping the school board's gonna be more,
Negotiable?
yes.
So
They need some money to fix
now,
it.
let me see, Ms. Keisha, all of this wooded area, is that part of the health department here?
Part of
Okay,
that's-
okay, I see now.
Part
Thank
of
you.
that's the school boards, and part
Uh-huh.
of it's the health, or the counties, yeah.
And then my understanding is they wanna keep everything as this.
Yeah, they weren't,
The building's over.
well, the school board hasn't made that decision, but the superintendent and the school board member I spoke with are saying that they pretty strongly feel that they'd keep the bus barn and the, Boys and Girls Club for sure, that they wouldn't be interested in
Is the
negotiating
Boys
on
and
that.
Girls Club the old gym?
That red roof
No.
building you're
Oh.
looking at,
The old field house.
yeah.
And then the
Field-
bus barn where they repair the school buses is the old gym.
Oh, okay.
And then this was the piece that we were talking about, the Franklin County.
My goodness.
Yeah,
So they have a really, like,
And that's not city limits.
89.
that's correct. Well, there's a couple things there. It's heavily wooded, costs us to do that. And the other thing I thought about today that I hadn't given any thought when I came by, just thinking about it, is that Highway 98, to have a funeral procession out there on 98 is a lot more, and on that hill would be a lot more hazardous than it is where we're currently at.
And it is, and parking, and I've attended a couple of
Yes.
funerals at that location. So,
This piece right here would be adjacent to the
Uh-huh.
city to be annexed into.
So that's just ideas that I
well,
was
it
throwing
is,
out.
let's see what the school board says. I've got an idea, and I'll mention it to Courtney as well. I don't want to go there right now in the public. And that's 19 acres total?
Yes,
That's
they have
what
a
they
total
say.
of 19 acres.
Uh-huh. And how many acres can you see on our cemetery? How many do we have? Well, just right here on the south side, what is that, just 2 blocks?
Yes,
Mhm.
well,
Oh.
one block.
Uh-huh.
One block.
Okay, 1 block. Well,
We'd be good for a while, hopefully.
you know, like you say, if you could get 5, 6, 8 acres,
That's right.
that would hold us for a while.
Well, I have some other thoughts there too, but I'm like you, I really didn't wanna bring those out right now.
Mm-hmm. And then, okay,
I mean,
two,
our
2
entire-
blocks.
Our entire cemetery, everything is 3 blocks.
What about that road there? What's the road that's in back of the cemetery? Are we on is that on someone
That's
else's
our-
property?
He just ordered a survey.
Okay,
Yeah.
According to this, we are, but I don't know how accurate it is.
all right, well, this is good discussion. We can put it back on the agenda again next month, too. Is that all right?
I think we should. 'Cause
Okay.
Actually, the superintendent said he'd respond back to me the day after their meeting on the 29th and get a feel for where the board's at.
Okay. All right, is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
Well, yeah, that's
Okay.
what I wanted to bring to this
All
board,
right.
because mine work's just legwork, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is good.
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. I appreciate the work and the follow-up with Mr. Lanier, and we'll see what comes of that. All right, thank you so much. This, item number 7, are we doing okay, or do we need a break? Okay, item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding signage placement standards in city rights-of-way. And we have our LDR, the signage, the placement signage from the LDR was, placement standards from our LDR was circulated. We've had some comments regarding multiple signs in the right-of-way, in the rights-of-way. And I will say, every time I've campaigned 3 times, I've had to always put my signs on private property. I couldn't put my signs in the right-of-way. Did have one sign in the right-of-way, and I got a call from the clerk one time, got to get your sign out of the right-of-way. You can't have it in the right-of-way. So, you know, do we enforce these signage placement standards that we have? I've talked with the chief, who he's gone now, and Courtney, and we, you know, if you enforce your signage ordinances, then if you enforce for one, you have to enforce all. And we do have, I looked, I think we have one church sign, but it's behind the utility pole. It's right up against the utility pole, but behind it. So, and we use the utility poles as a kind of a general marker of the right-of-way versus private property. And then we have the senior center sign. I believe that's behind a utility pole on the Jackson property. And then one restaurant puts some of these little flag signs out in the daytime in the landscaping. And I will say that Mr. Curley did not want signage in his landscaping, and I agree with that. I don't like to have the signage in the landscaping. So how do we feel about this? Any comments?
You say we
Well-
already have a law in place?
Yes, sir, we do. We have right here signage, and this is placement standards, and supports for signs or sign structures shall not be placed upon public right-of-way or public easement.
Well, why have a law if you're not going to enforce it?
I mean, people are more than welcome, in my opinion, because I have had to adhere to this. I've had to adhere to this myself personally. And I've been called out for putting a sign in the right-of-way. Certainly, folks can put signs on their private property. Now, if it's a permanent sign, they have to get a permit to do that. But these little temporary signs, no, you can put a sign on your private property all day long, or fill it up with signs or whatever. So,
Can a person that's in favor of a particular candidate put their sign in their yard?
yes,
What?
yes.
No, that's
uh-huh.
private property.
Right,
Private
and on
property.
private property,
Yeah.
yes.
But with permission.
Yes, yes, I would think.
I would think so too.
Mm-hmm.
I know, I made the mistake one day of putting it in somebody's yard, and they weren't happy at all.
Oh, they called you up, get that sign?
No, they talked to me over the fence.
Oh,
But anyway,
okay.
but I thought that was the case.
Mhm.
And there's also a time to pick them up that a lot of people aren't observing.
Yeah.
I'll just make one comment, Mayor, if I
Okay.
can. While I share the same viewpoint, Commissioner Mathis, we have a policy. We should follow our policies to the best of our ability. However, historically, there's been some leeway that I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, in temporary signage unless it was a safety hazard or something to that nature. And when I say temporary signage, the thing that comes to mind is a political sign. I consider that temporary, and I have seen them on right-of-ways, and we all have. And we still continue to see them, and we haven't made, to my knowledge, made issue too much out of those, except for some cases that are illustrated. From my standpoint as a commissioner and as a citizen, I don't have a heartburn, if you will, about temporary signage if it's not a safety hazard or interfering with other people's operation and what have you, or infringing upon someone. But yet and still, we still have the policy, so I don't know what to say other than that. Temporary signs to that nature, I really don't have that's where I'm talking about, I think we use a little bit of leeway. That's
And
just my opinion.
We have used leeway with the businesses because we hate to say you can't advertise. I mean, it's very difficult to tell.
Right, but if we do one,
But
you
if
gotta do
somebody
them all.
complains,
Yeah.
and it's against, if somebody complains, we have to follow up.
That's
Mhm.
correct.
But
That's
you
correct.
you cannot
And that's
do
the
one and not
reason
the
why I
other.
Not do
called
them all.
her, because
That's correct.
Mhm.
Now, I agree with that. That's what I meant to finish out saying is if you do one, we've gotta be consistent.
Mhm.
I rest my
Alright.
case.
Okay.
I rest mine too.
All right. Well, if we get a formal complaint, we'll bring this back up.
That's good.
Possibly.
idea.
Okay. Many of our codes code enforcement is complaint driven, so. All right then. Item 8, award contractor for the hurricane loss mitigation program.
We received one bid. It was Florida Retrofit. I sent that bid over to Betty Webb, our grant manager, who reviewed it, and she makes the recommendation that we award the bid to Florida Retrofit.
Okay, for what year is this now?
This is the 2021. So
For the
it's
2021 grant program?
Yes.
Is this the third year we're going in?
Second.
Second year, okay. Very good. And thank you for working with them on that.
I think we
Courtney.
did 13 last year.
Wow. And
And I
we're,
believe there's still some money, so if anyone's interested in applying for that, it's still open and there's still some money out there.
for the last year?
No,
For
Oh,
this
that's
year.
for this one? Okay. All right. So do we have a motion for that to approve Florida Retrofit to be the contractor for the hurricane loss mitigation program?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have Commissioner Allen made that motion. Do
I'll
we-
second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Melander. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right. And then the final item, number 9, presentation of proposed billboard signage. And I see some of y'all have a copy of that. I didn't get a copy, but I've seen it. I sent it to Courtney. Thank you.
Hold it up.
Okay, thank you. Here it is right here. This design was done free. A lot of times you'll have to pay for your design. The photo was done by Forrest Wesson of Huntsville, Alabama. And then when he got a kind of an idea of the colors, he went back and enhanced the photo, the reds that would go with the reds in the wording. And this is free. His photo is free usage. He's donated that. And this is proposed for that billboard that's, excuse me, this is so clear. For the billboard that's right out there on the corner of the property that the city owns, that came with the property when we bought. And guess what? It's free. There's people are going to donate to fund the vinyl, to go, all of it, installation and all of it. So, what do y'all think?
We like free.
Right, free? I should have
We
brought
like
free.
free.
Okay.
I think this is right. I think it's,
Out there on the corner of the property that the city owns. Okay, right there you go.
I think the trees need to be trimmed when.
Oh, yes, they'll definitely need to be trimmed, no doubt. So-
Neatly trimmed.
All right. Is there any opposition, or should we move forward?
You need a motion, I'll make a motion to move forward.
I'll second it.
Okay, well, we didn't have it for action, but we have a motion by Commissioner Melander, and a second by Commissioner Mathis. And
I
is
didn't
there,
think you did, but you sounded like you wanted it.
well, that's okay, to move forward with the billboard. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and that motion carries. Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
we've got to have our public comment.
Mayor,
Yes.
before you go to public comment, I hadn't attended because I really want to update the board. I'm not ready to finalize this flagpole issue at the cemeteries yet, but we're making some progress, Courtney and I. Just want to throw an idea at you and tell you where the direction we're going. It up to the board is looking at the cost of a flagpole at both cemeteries, one at Isle of Rest and one at Evergreen. I'm trying to get one of the flagpoles donated, okay? And if I can get that flagpole donated, my thought is to upgrade the flagpole at our city hall and use that this current flagpole out here at the other cemetery, and purchase an upgraded flagpole for our city hall, which the cost will be offset pretty much by a donated one and using the one out front. And by upgrading the one out front, we'll have a flagpole that's tall enough to accommodate the American flag and our city flag. Now, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's up to the board. But we also, and again, I'm not ready to give you all of it yet, but we've got to work on lighting process at each one of those flags, and I think we're about got that worked out. So just wanted to bring you up to speed at the direction I'm going, where I can present some figures to you. And we do have money in the cemetery budget to purchase a flagpole, if we get the donated one, and we can use this one out front.
When you get your numbers together and your flagpole heights and all of that, we'll put it as an agenda
That's
item.
correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I say. I'm not ready to do that.
Okay. Was that your public comment?
Yeah, if you want to comment.
Yeah.
That's my commissioner comment.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay,
Thank
then. Public comment.
I've got one speaker card from Tamara Allen.
Okay.
Tamara Allen.
It's very nice to see you all, and I know you're ready to go home, so I'll try to make this just as short as humanly possible. I am Tamara Allen, and I happen to currently be the president of the Carrabelle Historical Society. So I'm here tonight in that role to present to the city of Carrabelle the Florida Preservation Award for, it says, this, I'm going to read you what it says. This is from the Florida Trust for Historic Preservation. This award is in recognition of the significant achievement in the preservation of Florida's rich heritage. Historic Carrabelle City Hall. This is presented to MLD Architects, the City of Carrabelle, and the Carrabelle Historical Society in recognition of outstanding preservation in the field of restoration and rehabilitation. And you all received this earlier at a COVID meeting that, and I accepted it on your behalf. And we've been trying to get it on the agenda, but there were other more important things than this. But I do want you to know that the dedication of saving our historic City Hall has been recognized by the State Trust for Historic Preservation. So this is one
Very
for
good.
you to have here at City Hall, and I have one at the museum.
Okay, so you
So there
have,
were
one.
two.
I was about to
Yes,
say that
yes.
should go to the museum, but you
Well,
have one.
I have there two, and I'm keeping one and bringing you this one.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you
thank you
very
all
much,
for
and
your
thank you
support
for
of those
your
efforts.
work with applying for the grants to get that
Pass this around.
hall, that's, oh, Justice Building rehabbed.
You just need an elevator.
Yeah, I know. Okay, very
Thank you,
good.
Ms. Tamara.
Uh-huh, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Okay, Mr. Frank, you're up.
I motion to adjourn.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, very good. Is there any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. All right, very good.